Welcome. My name is Amy Wheeler, and I'm the director of the Optimal State of Living Yoga Therapy Training Programs. We are just unveiling our new signature 865-hour yoga therapy training program, and the purpose of this video is to get you familiar with our program and answer any of the questions you might have. You'll notice that this video is quite long, and if you're serious about taking our program, we recommend that you look at the entire video, and then there's some action steps at the very end of the video that you can take to further your knowledge and get any last questions answered that you still have. So in this video, we'd like to introduce you to the Optimal State of Living signature yoga therapy program, describe how we are very unique, and then introduce you to our team members, myself and all of our faculty, give you a full explanation of all 5 steps of our program, introduce you to the handouts that you can get on our website, www.amywheeler.com, and also help you to analyze if the Optimal State of Living Yoga Therapy Training Program is right for you. It's very important to us that it be a good match from our end to you and also from your end to us. And then last, as I said, we'll help you have an action plan for next steps if you find that this is something that you would like to explore further. So to begin with, the course content of this 865-hour program will be detailed in this video, but as an overview, we are primarily working within the yoga therapy tradition of T. Krishnamacharya, who was the teacher of B.K.S. Iyengar, Pattabhi Jois, Indra Devi, T.K. Videskachar, A.G. Mohan, all sorts of Krishnamacharya enthusiasts out there that studied with him. We are in that tradition, and we are inspired by that tradition. And all of the teachings that you would receive in our program are based on ancient knowledge. They're coming from places like Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, some Bhagavad Gita, and we are combining that ancient knowledge of Ayurveda, of yoga, and even Sankhya philosophy with modern science and modern biomedical. And I think that's something that's really unique about our program, is that we are strong in both. We do things like go through the Yoga Sutra word by word and learn the Sanskrit, but we are also going to teach you about the newest and latest neuroscience in the field of mental health. So with this Western biomedical background as well as the foundations coming from the ancient teachings, I think you'll find that it's a very unique program. The reason that we've been able to combine these two fantastic things is because I've been a professor of kinesiology for over 20 years at California State University. So that's given me a keen insight into Western medicine and biomedical, biomechanics, exercise physiology, all of the topics that fall under the Department of Kinesiology and prepare students for positions in physical therapy, occupational therapy, physician's assistant. So that's kind of the environment that I've grown up in. And I've also studied in India many, many times. I've gone to India and studied, and always within the Krishnamacharya tradition. I've been studying yoga and yoga therapy since 2000, and I'm really happy to be able to be someone who provides that bridge between Western biomedical and neuroscience, and really making sure that we have a strong foundation in that, but tying it into the ancient teachings and showing the parallels between the two. So with my bachelor's and master's in health promotion and my PhD in education and psychology, and then, as I said, the 20 plus years of university teaching experience, I think we're providing a really unique program. The other thing about having 20 years of experience at a university is that I have become an expert curriculum designer, which I'll be showing you at the end of this video to help you see how our curriculum is laid out and how it's quite different and actually very focused on the learner and making sure that the experience of the learner understanding the information is much more important than maybe me pontificating about, something, but the learner not understanding any of what I'm saying. So really focusing on the learner and how they can best comprehend that information. And one other thing that I think lends itself to making sure that we're offering a very unique program to you is that I, Amy Wheeler, have been on the board of directors at the International Association of Yoga Therapy for several years now. And so I understand the field as a whole and where it's going and what the trends are, where the job market is heading, what the challenges and obstacles are that we have as a field to making sure that we move forward in an appropriate way. And also, as I've been on the board, I've been liaison to many different committees within IOIT, which has allowed me to see the inner workings of many, many different facets of yoga therapy and how we're moving the field forward. In addition, I was invited to be on the National Ayurvedic Medical Association's Yoga Therapy Standards Subcommittee, which basically means NAMA, the Ayurvedic sister organization of IOIT, they are also making standards for a yoga therapist. What does it mean to be a certified Ayurvedic yoga therapist? And so I had the pleasure of being on that committee also to see how a sister school is developing standards for yoga therapy too. And I think what we're presenting in our program will lend itself well to both IAYT and NAMA as yoga therapy proceeds forward and certifications continue to become the norm. Something else that's really unique and different about the Optimal State of Living yoga therapy program is that we have tried to target it towards people who would be coming from a distance. That's not to say we don't accept locals, but we understand that some people come from overseas, some people come from the East Coast to our training center on the West Coast in California, and that an 865-hour program is quite extensive when you're traveling from a distance. So we've really designed our program in a way that will help international and national students attend a program in a way that's feasible for their family, financially viable, and basically what we've come up with is that we could do 65% of the program in person and 35% of the program online. And what that boils down to is about 530 hours in person and about 125 hours online, plus a practicum done in your hometown with the goal of building your business under the mentorship or supervision of some master teacher that can go over your case studies with you regularly online. So that's how we've developed it. And in fact, we've made the entire first step or first year of the program 100% online. So you could really get your feet wet and try it out and make sure it's for you from a distance. And then hopefully you will decide that you would like to continue because you'll be so excited about the information. At that point, you could start making your travel plans with step 2. When you get to step 2 and 3, we have made 9-day modules. There's 8 days of learning in that 9-day module. So you'll be in Southern California for 4 days, have 1 day off in the middle to recover a little bit, and then have another 4 days, making a combined 9 days. So in steps 2 and 3 of the program, you're looking at 4 9-day modules. I should also say that as you go through steps 1 and step 2 of the program, there are something called community days, and there are 9 community days. And these community days are to bring the different cohorts of the program together and let people get to know each other. They happen approximately 1 time per month on a Saturday. We have all of those dates listed out. And some of you may be wondering, oh no, if I'm coming from a distance, how can I possibly make those community days? And the idea is that we would love to have you here. If there's any possible way you can be here, we want you to be part of our community day. We have a lecture, we do some practice, we have a potluck together by the end of the day. It's really a lovely day. And we understand that there may be a day or more that you can't actually be there in person. So our plan is to do streaming video of those community days, and also know that you need to attend minimum 70% of all the hours in the program, and that includes online and in person. So there is a little room for people who need accommodations. Maybe they've had a baby or have a parent that's not well and need to work around life happening. We want you to know that we are willing to work with you around those obstacles and find a way to make sure you get the information that you need, and also encourage that you do the attendance that is required to graduate from the program. Some of the other highlights of our program that you'll see later in this video are the professional curriculum design, and this is something that's very exciting for us to share with you. We have many different manuals to share with you, as well as curriculum charts and assessment tools, so we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And also with the OSOL program, there is a whole aspect around mentoring and personal growth. It is required that you do a daily yoga practice while you're completing this yoga therapy program. And ideally, that daily yoga practice would be under the guidance of a mentor that can help you design practices that will bring you into your optimal state of balance. So postures, breathing techniques, meditations that will help you stay happy and healthy and whole while you're going through this program. And then the last thing that's very unique to our program is that we have many days dedicated to helping you build your yoga therapy business. And I think that's one of the big problems in the field right now, is that people go through a very expensive and time-consuming yoga therapy training program, and they want to know that they will be able to be financially sustainable at the end of so much hard work. So we'll talk in a little bit about how we plan to help you have a successful yoga therapy business. So I'd like to introduce you to our faculty, and I'm the director of the Optimal State of Living yoga therapy programs, but my husband, George, is our technology guru, and he has set up a beautiful learning management system on our website where all of the handouts and all of the videos and all of the homework gets uploaded. And he's also in charge of our website and our upcoming app that we will have out. So George is Chief Technology Officer of Optimal State of Living, but he's also very well trained in yoga therapy himself and will be assisting at many of the programs. We also have many other lovely faculty members who you are more than welcome to read about their faculty bios and see their areas of expertise. And that's in our student handbook, but if you'd like to see it ahead of time, we're happy to share that with you. Many of the people that are on our faculty have been studying with me and in the Krishnamacharya tradition for about a decade. We are a close-knit group of faculty that have known each other a long time and consider each other like family and hope to stay together for a long time to come. The values that we have as a faculty, as a community, are that transformation happens from within, that only a person can empower themselves to heal from the inside out, and that this happens mainly through teaching our students and even practicing ourselves daily self-care through the tools from yoga and Ayurveda, and also practicing self-compassion for ourselves, because Without self-compassion, we will never have even a chance to be healthy and happy and whole. So you can see already that the daily practice we want you to do is an important part of how we think you will be successful in our program, because yoga and yoga therapy are experiential. A somatic change needs to happen. And by somatic change, I mean the way you feel from the inside out will slowly permeate you as you go through these years of yoga therapy practice. And you will feel more calm, more stable, more balanced, more like the best version of yourself. And again, that happens on an experiential basis. Some of the other values that we share as a faculty and an optimal state community are that we want to follow very strict code of ethics, and we actually ask you to sign a code of etiquette or a code of conduct so that everyone in the classroom, regardless of age or race or gender, any kind of prejudice that might sometimes be experienced in the classroom will not happen at the optimal state of living. And everyone has to sign this code of conduct prior to starting the program. And we take any missteps seriously, and we try to correct them quickly. One of the reasons that I feel so strongly about this is because I want us to have diversity within our optimal state community. And I want us to be able to share these teachings with at-risk communities and in settings and with people that normally might not have access to yoga therapy. So it's very important that we bring people into our program that have that diversity and have the connections to at-risk communities that they can go home and share yoga therapy with. And then finally, one of our values is that we do stay in long-term connection with one another, that once you are part of the optimal state of living family, you are always a part of the optimal state of living family. And that we work together to overcome our differences and find ways to find more acceptance and compassion for one another over the long haul, which is why we humans are here together on Earth. So let's get into the 5 steps of the Optimal State of Living program and break down the 5 steps for you. These 5 steps will take you anywhere between 3.5 to 6 years. And the reason that there's such a wide range is because if you really wanted to knock it out and go for it in 3.5 years, you could do that. You could take 1 to 2 months between each step and just go for it. That's going to be much more intense. It's going to require more time and energy and financial stability to do it in such a short period of time. And if that sounds like too much for you, there are other options where you could take a year off in between certain steps and get yourself together, spend some time with your family, maybe save some money for the next step. We do allow you up to 6 years to finish the program. So ideally, you will take one step at a time, starting with step 1, the essential framework online. And this essential framework, step 1, is 12 months. It starts in January of every year, and it's Wednesday nights for 2 hours online. And that is from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. every Wednesday night, Pacific Standard Time. You do need to have 70% attendance at these Zoom classes, so please consider that when you decide to sign up for the program. In addition to the online portion, which is about 90 hours over the course of 1 year, January to January, there are community days. And these community days are basically for us to all come together and find ways to connect, even though the class is mainly online. So with the community days, I have a kind of a sample of what some of the community days look like. We might do a case study on Alzheimer's or dementia. We might do some yoga philosophy, talking about Purusha and Prakriti and Prana. We might do a case study on addiction for teens, maybe on the Sankhya model. We could do another community day on building your business using the ethical guidelines of the yamas and niyamas. Another one might be defining the scope of practice for a yoga therapist. You get the idea. Maybe a community day on code of ethics and how to make sure that we're staying ethically professional. So there's many, many different things we might cover on these community days. And as I said earlier, they are one Saturday per month approximately, and we hope to stream them. And you need to have 70% attendance for all of the training that we do. 70% in person, 70% online. That's the minimum. Of course, we do hope you will be there for 100%. But sometimes I think people get a little bit worried in making such a big commitment, not knowing how their life will unfold in the next 3 years or 6 years. And so we just want to assure you that we are willing to work with you and make sure that you get exactly what you need and can get the information from every single hour of the training. So if you go on to the website www.amywheeler.com, you will see there's a page that is www.amywheeler.com/YT for yoga therapy. And on this page are all the links to all the documents that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And then as I talk about each one, you can see the picture of that document on the screen and hopefully pull it up for yourself and be looking at it as I'm talking about it. So the first document that I'd like to point you to is one that is called the Optimal State Certified Yoga Therapist Training Program. And it basically takes you through the 5 steps. The first of which is called the Essential Framework, and I've just been sharing with you. You'll notice on the top of this document, it says minimum prerequisite is that you be a 200-hour yoga teacher or equivalent. And basically that means that you've had a yoga teacher training program, and it's not that you have just attended some yoga classes at your yoga studio. You actually need to have had training in how to be a teacher. And this is a requirement by the International Association of Yoga Therapists. Now, even if you don't have a current certificate, maybe you went through a training program 30 years ago, or you did a training program in India and they didn't give you a certificate, we are willing to work with you on that. If you are interested in taking a yoga teacher training, a 200-hour yoga teacher training, I am offering one with the Southern California University of Health Sciences. And basically, through this program, which is 50% in person, 50% online, you could get that 200 hours to be considered as a yoga therapy candidate for any IYT yoga therapy accredited school. That 200-hour teacher training program is going to be required no matter where you go. So going back to the program outline, you see you must be a 200-hour teacher trainer or teacher to come into our program. And as you go through the 90 hours of online training, which are on Wednesday nights, and as you go through the community days, those are both part of step 1. What you will learn in step 1, Essential Framework online, is Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, word-by-word translation of the Yoga Sutra, especially how it applies to health and healing. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra is the foundation of the lens through which we look at yoga therapy. We are not looking at yoga therapy through the lens of Western medical. We are looking at it through the ancient teachings or philosophies of yoga, and then taking that knowledge to link with healthcare providers, mental health care providers, veterans associations, wellness centers, and be able to talk in the language that they are using, but think in the language of the ancient teachings, such as Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So Patanjali and also other texts we will draw from. We will also, in the Essential Framework Online, Step 1, teach you the optimal state assessment system, which is very, very unique. We're just unveiling it. It's very exciting for us. And it is a very easy way to assess your clients mentally, emotionally, physically, somatically, spiritually, assess their relationships, assess their strengths and their weaknesses, and then use those assessment tools to write appropriate individualized therapeutic plans using the system that we've developed. So that's a really exciting part of our curriculum that I can't wait to share with you. Also in the Essential Framework Online, you will learn about the functional or therapeutic significance of different asanas and what is happening on the level of the subtle body in different asanas with different breathing techniques. And this is what you'll see in a few minutes when I show you the manuals. We will also teach you the functional significance of therapeutic pranayama, as well as meditations and objects of meditations, even certain chants, if you're interested in that. And then we'll also teach you how to therapeutically sequence a class for asana, pranayama, meditation, and then how to integrate those components together. One thing I should say as we go through this video is that if someone is already a certified IAYT yoga therapist, a CIAYT, that you could apply to take any step of the program individually. You could come in and do just step 1, the Essential Framework Online, or you could say, oh, I've already got my 800-hour CIYT, but I want to take step 2, the mental health section, and become a specialist in mental health. Or step 3, physical health, and become a specialist in physical health. So just to let you know that if you are a CIYT, you could choose any of these steps that I talk about and make that a specialty for yourself, and we would give you a certificate of completion for that specialty. So just to finish up with the Optimal State of Living Essential Framework Program, there is a synchronous component where we're online together. There is a live in-person component with the community days. And then there's probably about an hour or more of homework per week. So just as you schedule your time, know that each week during that first year, you will have to do about an hour of homework per week. Going back to the calendar with our 5 steps in order, after you finish your step 1, which would start in January and end in December of each year, you would be okay to come on to step 2, mental health, or if you wanted, you could take some time off. We would love for you to just go right into step 2, which also starts in January each year. And the next one will start in January 2019, and every year after that. It is a 7-month program where in January there is a 9-day module. You attend for 4 days in person in Southern California. Then you have 1 day off to recover, and then you have another 4 days. So out of the 9 days of training, you're in class for 8 days. And you do that for 9 days in January, go home, and every week online, we have about 5 months on Friday mornings from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, where we go over case studies in mental health and basically start preparing you to work with live clients. So we do that every Friday morning between January, and July. Then in July, you come back for another 9-day module in person in Southern California. 4 days on, 1 day off, 4 days on. And at the end of the January module, followed by the Friday mornings, into the July module, when you finish that 7-month chunk, you will be finished with step 2. Step 3 begins every year in September. So you would have some time off between step 2 and step 3, potentially, where you could integrate some of the material. And the reason that we do the mental health module before the physical health module is because we feel like a lot of physical problems actually stem from mental problems. And this is what Patanjali's Yoga Sutra is all about, that what is happening for us mentally and emotionally is actually manifesting physically. And even Western science supports that about 70% of our disease and illness and pathology is largely due to stress. And obviously yoga is really, really great at building stress resilience and helping to heal from our past traumas so that we can actually not be sick in this very moment. So step 3 of the program is dealing with physical health. And when you get to step 3 of the program, you can again go on www.amywheeler.com and find the documents that correspond to each component. We have an information document, we have a frequently asked question document, we talk about the program outline, we on each document actually go into the different topics that are covered in every step and have full outlines of those. But when you get to the physical health module, basically it starts in September each year, 9-day module. Again, 4 days on, 1 day off, 4 days on. And then, very similar to step 2, we have Friday mornings where we have case studies of real live people and how to help them with their back problems and their knee problems and their autoimmune disease and whatever it is in the physical body that is ailing them. And those Friday morning classes are from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock Pacific time every Friday morning. And again, we do recommend that you be there with synchronous learning if possible, but also understand that if for some reason you can't be there, as long as you have 70% minimum attendance, and we'd like to have you up to 100% attendance, because it's always better to be there in person and ask questions and be part of the Sangha or the community. But we can work with you if need be. And each week you'll be sent a link to the Friday morning videos that you could actually review a second time if you really wanted to see the information again. All of those classes take place on a platform called Zoom, which is very easy to work with, but you will need to be sure that you have a fairly modern computer and be able to, check email, use an online learning management system, and also be able to get on these classes on the Zoom platform. So if you're not technologically savvy in any way, shape, or form, you're probably going to need to get some assistance on your end to make sure that your computer is up to speed and ready to go for this type of online learning environment. So again, the step 3 starts in September, 9 days. Then we have several months of online learning, Friday mornings. The second module of the physical health series, step 3, is again 9 days. And that entire process is about 7 months. And after that, you will be done with step 3 of the program. As we go into step 4 of the program, this is where I get really excited, because after spending so much time and energy and family sacrifice and finances on this program, we need to make sure that you are ready to go and ready to build a business or take a job where you feel confident, and start educating your community about yoga therapy and all the things that it can do. So step 4 of our program is called Entering the Yoga Therapy Profession. And these are 3 weekends of 3 days each. So that is 9 days total. And we have put them all in 1 month, the month of June. Why have we done this? Because if someone were coming from a distance, we felt that you could stay for the month. Let's say you were coming from Australia or China or Japan, and you committed to coming for the entire month of June. You could have the first weekend be an optimal state of living professional weekend. Then you could go to SITAR, which is our international conference for yoga therapy, oftentimes held in Southern California, the second weekend of every June. And then you could stay for the third and fourth weekends of June to finish up your level or your step 4. So basically, all 4 weekends of June would be involved in a yoga therapy educational experience. And maybe you could go have fun in Southern California in between those weekends. There's plenty for you to do here. Go to the beach and really have a nice vacation. So the Entering the Yoga Therapy Profession weekend, each one has a focus. And for example, one of the weekends might be how to bring yoga therapy into the mental health profession and find connections through the mental health profession, make referrals, how to build your business, how to approach them. We'll give you PowerPoints that will help you approach people. We'll show you all the latest research that you can use to educate people about the efficacy of yoga therapy. And we'll let you practice your sales pitch so that you're ready to enter the mental health profession. And then we'll do the same with a weekend that we call the Public Servants Weekend, which could be towards teachers and or firefighters or policemen. And we've found great success in working with those groups in the Optimal State of Living programs and how to approach them differently. What kind of research do you need to show them? How do you make a sales pitch? How do you explain what you do to people in that setting or that context? And then another one is the medical or healthcare profession. Again, you're going to need different research, different PowerPoints, different sales pitch, different ways of explaining and languaging what it is that you do specific to the healthcare profession and the medical profession, and what types of topics could you talk to them about that are different than mental health or public servants. So these 3 weekends are really exciting for us. We feel that it's a very unique part of our program, and that we can actually help you build your business and get into different communities that might be difficult for you alone to get into. A lot of what we've already done with our OSOL, our Optimal State of Living programs, are collect research and data to show its efficacy. We're already doing research studies with many different organizations and universities and hospitals using our optimal state method, and we have data to support that what we are doing works. And when you can walk into a police station or a school or a mental health care facility or a hospital and say, I work with the Optimal State of Living program, and here's empirical data to support that what we're doing works, you come in on a whole different level than someone who's just walking around with their brochure trying to explain what yoga therapy is. So we will support you and we will help you build your business and give you the PowerPoints and the tools and the data and the research that you need to support yourself in getting business. And I can just say for myself that with the right toolbox, I actually have more business than I know what to do with. I'm looking for ways to give other people that have been trained by us business. And at this point, we're all getting quite busy and would love to share that with you also. The fifth step of our program is what we called your supervised practicum. And your practicum basically means that you are going to use everything that we have taught you and go out into the world to be of service in the field of yoga therapy to build your own business. And this practicum can happen in your hometown so that you start building your community around you. And of course, we will support you to do that with all of the tools and technologies and manuals and community support that we can give you. And you do one-on-one work with clients under the supervision of a master yoga therapist. So you might be working with 3 or 4 people in your hometown, and you actually bring your cases to your mentor and go through the case with them, go through the biomedical information, go through the yogic approach, go through the Ayurvedic way to look at it, and make sure that you're on the right track and do any course corrections if you've gotten off track with that client. If you don't know what the heck you're doing with that client, that's what your mentor is here to help you with. And you'll do that for about 150 hours of one-on-one therapy with your clients. And then we require that you have at least a minimum of 22 hours of supervision where you're going over case studies with your mentor. This practicum could be paid or unpaid. If people want to pay you to work with them, we highly suggest that you get paid to do that. You are qualified, you have studied hard, you have spent time and energy and money learning this, and you deserve to get paid. If there is an organization or an individual that you'd like to be of charity to and be of service to, and you prefer not to get paid for your practicum internship, that's your business. You're welcome to do that also. Regarding the practicum, there are opportunities for you to study in India. We have several yoga ashrams and yoga therapy centers in India that have told us they would be happy to have our students come and study there. The main problem with only going there and not having the experience in your hometown is that for your practicum hours to count, you must be the sole yoga therapist for that session. You must do the intake. You must write the yoga therapy program or therapeutic plan. You must teach that therapeutic plan and follow that person over time. And so sometimes we find that the ashrams in India do not allow you to do all of those steps as the primary yoga therapist. And therefore, if you weren't doing all of those steps, you couldn't count that hour towards your 150 hours total. So although we do offer internships, we also feel that you would be very wise to not depend solely on those experiences in India. Rather, use many of your hours to build your business in your hometown where you can actually make a living for yourself afterwards. So in a nutshell, those are the 5 steps of the program. Step 1, Essential Framework, which is 90 hours online, Wednesday nights from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. pack time. The Essential Framework also includes 9 community days. Step 2 is the Mental Health Series, which is 7 months total. That involves 9 days in person, approximately 5 months of Friday mornings online from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock a.m. going over case studies, followed by a second module in July of each year of 9 days. Both Step 1 and Step 2 will begin in January each year. Step 3 is the Physical Health Series. Again, it's a 7-month program. It begins in September of each year. 9-day module in person in September, followed by approximately 5 months of online case studies Friday mornings from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, finishing with your March Step 3 module for the Physical Health Series, 9 days in March, and then you will have graduated from Step 3. Step 4 is the Entering the Yoga Therapy Profession weekends. These are 3 weekends in June. First weekend, third weekend, and fourth weekend of June. Each weekend focusing on a different area that you'd like to go into to build your business. And we've given you the second week of June off because many of you will be attending Sitar, which is oftentimes the main conference for yoga therapy and often held in Southern California on the second weekend of June. And then the fifth step is your practicum. Step 5 is where you actually go out and build your business and hopefully, regain some of the resources that you've spent taking this program and making sure that you can sustain yourself over time. So the highlights of our program, if you look at the cost of our program, it comes up to less than $20 per hour of learning, and that includes online learning, that includes in-person learning, that includes the mentoring. The $20 is including the mentoring when you really look at the total cost. That's one-on-one mentoring, and all of the curriculum manuals. Everything, when you add it all together, is less than $20 per hour. You have 3 to 6 years to make it through the program, and you can go at your own pace, depending on what you and your loved ones need. We can accommodate you that way. You will also get personal grading and feedback for your homework that you do, and I think this is really important. A lot of programs don't take the time to give you personal feedback, so you'll load your homework each week onto the learning management system, and then I personally go in there and look at your homework and give you some feedback, and the same with testing. You will be required to have a daily personal practice with a mentor who will help you with that practice, and you'll also have a mentor for your practicum that will go over all of your case studies with you. We do offer a payment program available with a contract. If you'd like to divide your costs up over 3 to 6 years, we can help you do that. And we're not offering any scholarships or work study at this time. We are just getting off the ground, and that's just not something that we are in a place to offer at this time. If you'd like more information about the payment program, please see the Optimal State of Living program overview on our website, which gives you many more specifics about the cost and how it breaks down and how you could plan accordingly. Another document that we have on www.amywheeler.com is a frequently asked questions sheet. Over the years, I've had so many questions, I just keep writing them down, and I've put them all in one FAQ. And it goes everything from what are the prerequisites from this program, what makes this program unique, how many hours are in this program, and how are they broken down for synchronous learning versus asynchronous learning online, community days, residential modules. How does it all break down? How much mentoring do you have to have? Some of the other things on the FAQ sheet are, what's the homework going to be like? Will I be required to write a thesis? And the answer is no. What happens if I have a life event that interrupts my program? So everything like that you will find in the FAQ. Also things like, will I be assigned a mentor for the program, or can I choose my mentor? What does it mean to do a daily practice during the program, and how will we make sure that happens? Some other things that are on the frequently asked questions are, does your yoga school have excellent ethical guidelines? What is your code of conduct? What is your code of ethics? As I mentioned earlier, we require that all students sign a classroom etiquette contract about making sure that we treat each other well, that we have complete awareness of how we speak to one another, creating a safe environment for one another, giving each other empathy as needed, making sure that we do not cross any lines or even come close to any lines with racism or homophobia or ageism, and really taking care of each other like a family would. And we have an entire process for making people feel safe in the classroom, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, as well as sexually, racially. Basically, we feel very, very strongly that the classroom has to be a very safe environment for all involved. And how will we handle it if something happens that people are not feeling safe? So that is all in the frequently asked questions list. And as I said, we will all sign a contract to make sure that happens. And then some of the last things that I really want to share with you today about the unique nature of the Optimal State of Living Yoga Therapy Training Program is our signature curriculum. And as I had mentioned earlier, because I've been a college professor for over 20 years in a department of kinesiology at California State University, I have had a lot of practice in writing PowerPoints, giving lectures, writing learning objectives, writing manuals, really making sure that the curriculum is student friendly. And by that I mean that I have the student in mind as I write the curriculum. I don't have myself in mind. And I think that's a big difference. Am I lecturing to you, or am I giving you opportunities to hear the information, understand the information, apply the information, practice the information? When you look at learning theory, and my PhD is in education and psychology, when you look at learning theory, you know that when you only get lectured at, you retain about 5% of that information. It's only when you become the teacher, when you hear the information, understand the information, and then become the teacher of the information and teach it to your peers and get into small groups and have activities. It's through that process that you really learn it up to 85%, efficiency and effectiveness. So our program is really based on this style of experiential learning where we break off into groups. You have study buddies, you have small groups, you have what I call pods. You'll learn more about the pods that we use, and really help people feel it, breathe it, see it, hear it, touch it, smell it, taste it. We have cooking that we do together. We have dancing that we do together. We really try to make it fun. We have all sorts of different opportunities for how do you work with children versus adults, especially in the mental health module. So our goal is to really teach you kinesthetically, auditorily, visually, and get it to go into your brain in many, many different ways so that you actually do remember it when you go to teach it. So I want to show you a few of the manuals that I've taken many, many years to create for you that are only available by taking our programs. The first one is basically a Yoga Sutra, The Path to Self-Discovery. And this one, if you look, we do break the Yoga Sutra down word by word. And this comes in step 1, the essential framework, that we go through the Yoga Sutra and really talk about what does it mean. Yoga Sutra, chapter 1, verse 1, Atha Yoga Nushasanam. And we break it down by word, we explain it to you, and then I have you do a journal where you take that concept and make it your own and think through, how does this apply to my daily life? So you see this page, it says day 1, Yoga Sutra 1.1, sacred beginnings and commitment are essential for a positive outcome. And you read a little bit on that day, and then you journal to see how it kind of seeps into your own mind and body and spirit. So we're very serious about using Patanjali's Yoga Sutra as the foundation for everything else that we teach. Another signature curriculum manual that we have is The Subtle Anatomy of Asana, where the mind goes, the prana flows. And as some of you know, it's really important that we understand what the different asanas do to our bodies and our minds and our spirits on a very subtle level, on the level of subtle anatomy, and which breath patterns go with which postures and why, and what happens if you do a certain breath pattern in a posture like Parshva Uttanasana, one-legged forward, standing forward bend, what happens if you do different breath patterns within that asana, almost like you're adding the pranayama into the asana? So is it different if you go in on an exhale versus what if you go in on a hold after exhale, right? And so we really get into the different asanas and how to do them classically versus therapeutically, what's happening on the subtle anatomy level, and really try to help you understand how to work with that. Another manual is called The Functional Significance of Asana, and this one is a beautiful manual. Again, it deals with the prana, mala, agni model that some of you are already familiar with if you've taken classes in the Krishnamacharya system. And basically what that means is that depending on how you do each posture and the breath patterns that you use in each posture, what is the functional significance of that, and which postures kind of go with one another, which postures have very similar functions. Maybe I want to do a seated twist, but I'm not open enough in my low back to do a seated twist. Are there any other postures that could provide me with the same function of that pose, but for my body, get me into that posture safely? And so this is what we mean by this functional significance of asana. And a lot of it really boils down to looking at the vayus, the 5 vayus, prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, and looking at those vayus and how they're impacted when we practice certain postures. One of the books is called the Asana Course Planning Workbook, and it gives you opportunities to practice saying the names of the poses, drawing the stick figure sequences, and that type of thing. And then it also takes you into, as I said before, the sequencing, how to do warm-up poses, how to do counter poses, how to do cool-down poses, how to choose proper pranayama techniques and meditation techniques that have the same functional significance as the asanas that you've been doing, so that all your arrows are going in the same direction. And these are the types of things that we actually grade with your homework and give you feedback on to tell you where your errors are and where you can, learn from. And then, of course, we have to teach you how to take those therapeutic postures and put them into actual sequences, whether the posture is combined with breathing or pranayama and meditation exercises, or the posture is combined with chanting. There's many, many different ways to sequence asana, pranayama, meditation, and then weave them together as kind of a beautiful therapeutic plan. So in the essential framework, we really go through how to sequence therapeutically using all the different tools in the toolbox. We would like you to try to figure out how to say the name in Sanskrit, although you would probably never say that to your client. It's good for you personally to know the words Parshva Uttanasana, how to draw the stick figures, how to make sure you have the correct breathing patterns, inhaling when your body is expanding, exhaling when your body is contracting, and then how do you write that visually with stick figures and arrows and inhales and exhales? Can you draw stick figures, right? We want you to be able to draw beautiful stick figures for yourself and for your clients. I should say that some people have gone through a 500-hour yoga teacher training in a Krishnamacharya tradition that has already covered a lot of these topics. And if you think that you already know how to do what I've been talking about with the manual so far, and you would like to take a transfer exam test, we do have a way for you to transfer in hours if you would pass that transfer exam. It is not an easy exam. I wouldn't say that most people could pass it, especially if you haven't been really well trained in the Krishnamacharya tradition for about 500 hours of training. So if that applies to you and you'd like to talk to us about the transfer exam. We're more than happy to talk to you about that. So coming back to a few more of our signature manuals, the next one is Subtle Anatomy of Pranayama. And although we have about 12 manuals, I'm just going over a few of them here to give you a taste. But with the Subtle Anatomy of Pranayama, we'll go through each pranayama technique and talk about, is it an exhalation-based technique? Is it an inhalation-based technique? What is happening with the subtle anatomy, the prana agni mala model? What's happening with the vayus in the body? How do these pranayama techniques promote healing? And that type of thing. We'll go through the Yoga Sutras that apply to the different pranayamas and really make sure that therapeutically you know what you're doing when it comes to teaching pranayama. And then, of course, we would do the same thing for yogic meditation. Dharana, Dhyanam, and Samadhi are the three limbs of yoga that make up what we call meditation. And we, again, want you to understand, what does Patanjali's Yoga Sutra say about meditation and the healing aspects, and how we bring your concentration together with one pointed focus and eventually complete absorption to heal yourself from the inside out. How do you choose different objects of meditation? How do you decide which chants will go with meditation if your client is open to chanting? So this is kind of also part of the Essential Framework course, where we can really, go into those things deeply during that year. And again, if you are a CIAYT, we welcome you to just take step 1, step 2, or step 3 on your own. You can just decide to take those steps. We are considering offering step 4 to CIAYTs, but we have not made that decision yet, so we'll get back to you on that. So some of the other curriculum tools that we're really happy to provide you with, should you decide to take our program, are many, many charts and tools around yoga therapy assessment. How do you assess people? And this is where the Optimal State of Living signature program really shines. We have over 50 different charts that help you assess the gunas of the individual in front of you. The mental emotional gunas and how they're functioning in the body and the mind. The somatic experience of the gunas being the three ways that we tend to experience energy in our bodies, minds, and spirits. We have so many charts to help you learn how to assess someone from the gunas, and we feel that's really important. If you look at the scope of practice for yoga therapy, we are not allowed to do physical therapy tests or evaluations or assessments, nor are we allowed to do occupational therapy assessments. We are not allowed to give psychological exams. We are not trained as yoga therapists to be delving into the assessment tools from the other healing fields out there. And yet, because yoga therapy is a new and emerging profession, it's been very difficult to actually find assessments that are specific to yoga therapy. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is some workshops that I'm doing at SITAR, the Symposium for Yoga Therapy and Research, that happens every year in June. And this year I'm going to be working to do a whole afternoon on yoga therapy assessments. And some of what you see in this PowerPoint will be included in that, but I do reserve most of the really in-depth level assessment tools for the people who've committed to our program. I would say what you'll get on our website or through a little workshop will be a very, very minimal experience of our assessment tools, and that you actually need to go through our whole program in order to receive the signature system for yoga therapy assessment. So we're really excited to share that with you. This assessment system is what we are doing research with all over the country. We're doing it at California State University with our assessment system. We are starting to talk to some very prestigious hospitals all over the country, and I could give you the names of those if you're interested. And they've given me permission to use their names, but I would prefer to do that one-on-one. And this is where we are getting our research to show and support that what we are doing actually works. And again, that comes back to getting you a job at the end of the program where you can walk in with a PowerPoint and data, hardcore empirical data on the optimal state of research tools and assessments and say, look, we've done this. We can show that it works. Let me help you and help me get a job. So the assessment tools are a huge part of our curriculum and probably one of the things that we're most happy about sharing with you. So you may be asking yourself at this point, what's next? What is my action plan? How do I move forward? And hopefully you took notes watching this video. And if you didn't, you're more than welcome to watch it again, just to get it all in your mind. And all of the corresponding materials that you saw in this video are on our website, www.amywheeler.com. If you go under training programs and find the tab for yoga therapy training, you will be able to download a lot of what you've seen in this PowerPoint. And feel free to comb through that and write down any questions that you might have. And if there's any questions that have not been answered to your satisfaction through this video or through reading those documents carefully, you can then email our communications director at the Optimal State of Living. And on your slide here, you'll see the name and the email that you can email to with any further questions, and hopefully she'll respond within 48 hours to answer your question. And if you're interested in going forward with us, we really do believe in getting to know one another before you make a huge commitment. We like to date each other a little bit before anybody has to put any blood, sweat, and tears on the line. So some of the ways that you could start to take a step-by-step approach to getting to know us are to watch an online workshop from amywheeler.com. And we have some available that we are be willing to give you a coupon to watch for free. You could just ask our communications director in an email. So that's one option. If there's one that you want to purchase, you're more than welcome to purchase that and watch that online. Another thing that you could do would be to attend a community day and just join us and get to know our tribe and see if the vibe is something that you feel attracted to. And again, our communications director could tell you the days and times and topics and locations of those community days. Please be advised that they do fill up fast. We have had to turn quite a few people away because we just haven't had the space. We're trying to find a larger space to accommodate all of you, but it would be good if you could sign up for those early. And another thing that you could do is let our communications director know that you have some questions or you'd like to actually talk to Amy Wheeler, myself, in person. And we have about once a month a Zoom session with me and any potential students who would like to get to know me better or introduce yourself to me and tell me about yourself, ask questions about our program. We would get on a 1-hour small group Zoom lesson together. And when our communications director tells me that we have 3 or 4 students interested in having a Zoom lesson together, we'll reach out to you via email and ask your availability so that we can get together as a small group and kind of get to know each other and have a Zoom lesson together. And if at any point during this whole process you feel inclined to apply for our program, we would love to have you. Please know that you would have to have a 200-hour yoga teacher training or equivalent to apply. And in this application, which is also on our website, www.amywheeler.com, the application will ask you, who are you? What do you love? What is your yoga experience background? It will ask for some references, some character references. And we will ask that you pay a $50 fee to apply for the program that you would submit with your application. This $50 is applied to the overall cost of your program, so you're not actually losing the money. The reason that we ask this commitment from you is because it takes us a lot of time and energy to go through all of these steps with you. Our communications director will actually take you through a personal calendar of the pathway that you would use to get through your program. So if you look at the PowerPoint that we have up here, you can see we have all the dates of all the community days, the essential framework, the mental health, the physical health, all of that for 2018. We have it planned out for 2019. We have it planned out for 2020, and we have it planned out for 2021. And we've already reserved our venue for all of these days. And speaking of venue, we actually have chosen to do it at a hotel that has been hosting us for some time now. We really enjoyed this hotel. There's a great big beautiful room where we learn together, we practice together, we cook together. They have cooking area that we can use after hours. And it's easy for people coming out from out of town because it's very, very near to Ontario International Airport. Ontario Airport in Southern California is maybe 3 minutes away from our venue. If you wanted to fly into Los Angeles International Airport, that's probably closer to 60 minutes away from us. Both are quite doable. You may or may not have to have a car, especially if you come in through Ontario Airport. We have many people attending that tend to share cars. If you want to stay at the hotel, we do offer a very nice group rate per night for the hotel. We've already gotten that for you, and when you call into the hotel, you basically tell them you're with the Amy Wheeler Yoga Therapy Group so that they can give you that special price. And there are also opportunities for bed and breakfasts and that type of thing in the area. If you want to go that route and maybe rent a house together, we've had that happen before, where 9 people rent a house together, and we're happy to hook you up with people that might be able to do that. There are some people in the area that might be willing to rent out a bedroom in their house, which could also make it affordable for those of you that are traveling from a distance. You would just have to request that from us so that we could find the right match for you. So, as of this time, I think we have given you more than enough information to chew on. Please contact our communications director for any further questions, and we have her email listed here for you. And last, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time and consideration of our program. I have been through so many years of study with yoga therapy in India, in the United States, in Europe, and I know what it takes to cover the costs financially, emotionally, to take the time off work, to be away from your family, to set up, replacements at work and babysitters for your kids. I am very well aware of how hard it is to do this work, and I just want you to know that I appreciate you even considering doing that. It's a big, big commitment, and it really does take a whole village supporting you to allow for this to happen. So just know that we at Optimal State of Living have a family that we're willing to welcome you into as you are away from your families. And if there's anything that we can do to help you feel more comfortable with the time you do have to be away, please let us know and we'll try our best to accommodate you. So again, my name is Amy Wheeler. I am the founder of Optimal State of Living training programs. You can look at my website at www.amywheeler.com. And I really look forward to welcoming you into the Optimal State of Living family. Thanks for listening.